Okay, top five. Tyreek Hill number one, as always, right now. And then I got Diggs, Justin Jefferson, DeAndre Hopkins, and Cooper Kupp number five.
Yep, I got Hill number one, Jefferson two, Diggs three, Cup four, Hopkins five. If Cup is out or whatever, Adams would be then
Oh,
Hopkins would be four.
yeah.
But yeah, for now, still got Cup up there. It sounds like he's going to play, but we'll see his practice status for this week. But
Yeah, oh God, how good has DeAndre Hopkins been? We'll get that in the prop section.
yeah, he looks so
Just foreshadowing, that's the prop.
okay.
But man, he's been good.
Oh no, he's been a monster. I mean, that one-handed touchdown catch last week is
Uh,
ridiculous. Who you high on?
so I'm high on Sammy Watkins facing the Lions this week. I have him as my wide receiver 36. Consensus is, wide receiver 52. To be clear, I'm projecting both Allen Lazard and Christian Watson out right now. That's sort of the beauty of Tuesday morning projection. I could just do whatever I want. So, both miss this week. Watkins is going to have a ton of upside. I would lean on him if you're a bigger underdog this week. Granted, Watkins has a wide range of outcomes, but he has a massive ceiling this week. He had a 71% route participation last week, which was a season high. He had a brutal matchup against the Bills, so he could have a ceiling game here against the Lions. We're usually good for, one or two of those a year from Watkins. And then I got to go with my other guy, Khalif Raymond, on the other side in this game. He's my wide receiver 38 compared to the ECR of wide receiver 54. He's been heating up. For 3 straight games, he's had either 5 catches or 75 or more yards. Plus, he gets a boost with TJ Hawkins being traded away. I don't think all those targets are going to go to Brock Wright. I think, a few of those are going to get spread around to the running backs and wide receivers. So Raymond, he's been just playing over 90% of Goff's dropback for some time now. So he's locked into the starting lineup. And I like his matchup against Packers. He should be able to avoid Jaire Alexander for much of the game. They like to mix and match these receivers a bit. So no one's going to be locked up against Alexander here.
Yeah, Raymond has really been coming on. He's been like the true number 2 over Reynolds. Yep. So it's been interesting. Yeah, I like Raymond well. He's a top 36 guy for me this week. I'm high on Terry McLaurin. I think he's got a great matchup this week against Minnesota. They are dead last in DVOA versus opposing number 1 receivers. And McLaurin's been a lot better with Heinicke under center than Carson Wentz. McLaurin's averaging 8 targets, 5.5 catches, 93 yards, and a half a touchdown per game with Heinicke, compared to 6.2 targets, 3.7 catches, 61 yards, and just 0.17 touchdowns per game with Carson Wentz. And another guy is Jakobi Meyers. He's my wide receiver 21. He consensus wide receiver 26. And despite Stephon Gilmore, Indianapolis is still 29th in DVOA. Opposing number 1 receivers, although I don't think it matters that much for Myers. He moves inside outside and quietly 14th in half PPR points per game among wide receivers. I just don't think he gets the love that he deserves, and he's starting to score some touchdowns too. So, last year, first couple of years of his career, he never got in the end zone, but this year it's been a little bit better. He's got a touchdown in 3 of the last 4 games. So, yep. Love me some Jakobi Meyers this week. I think borderline top 20 wide receiver.
Yeah, I love the Myers call. Like you said, 3 touchdowns the past 4, still having, monster target share. But back to McLaurin, are you projecting Dotson to come back this week, or is that projection with
Yeah, I have Dotson coming back.
Oh, wow. And you still have McLaurin.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's more the quarterback. I just don't think Wentz was good at, he just didn't have that same chemistry with McLaurin that Heinicke did. And, the matchup is good. So, I think McLaurin is the guy that you want in this Washington team. I think, Dotson, he was always a low volume guy. He just happened to catch a few touchdowns from Carson Wentz, but it wasn't like he was, getting massive volume on a week-to-week basis either. So I think he's just going to kind of take back over that Cam Sims, Diami Brown role if he comes back. And they might have him on a pitch count because he hasn't been able to, kind of get through practice in a while. So he's I don't expect him to have a big impact.
How about Curtis Samuel? I mean, he's dollar store Debo right now. Debo Samuel. He's my wide receiver 17. Where do you have him?
Oh, wow. I have him wide receiver 31.
I know, right? Like, I don't know where that's coming from, but he's seeing 4 to 5 rush attempts a game. His ADOT was a little bit more downfield last week. I had his under 48.5 receiving yards. He finished with 50.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe just so many teams trying to buy, but he's certainly a high floor guy. But I was surprised I saw him as my wide receiver 17.
Well,
How
they're
many
using
rush attempts are you giving him?
about two.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the thing is, since Heineke took over, he has been getting a few more carries, but which I am projecting, but his route participation has been down 80% 2 weeks ago, 79% last game.
Yeah,
So it's kind of evening out a little bit. So that's why I kind of have him for the season. His route participation is a little bit higher. It's like in the high 80s. So I'm just kind of projecting him in what he's done over the last 2 weeks. And again, I think Minnesota it's not hard to get the ball to your top receiver against
true.
Minnesota. So I have Sam with 31, which is about where I had Rondale Moore last week. He had a good game. So I think I think I'll probably have him around there.
Probably an error on end. I probably have him too high for some reason. I have a few days to look into it, of course.
Of course. All right, who you want?
I am low on. I hate to say this. Drake London against the Chargers this week. He's my wide receiver 35. The ECR is wide receiver 31 right now. And again, I love the talent. Obviously, he was my favorite rookie wide receiver in this draft class. But this extreme run-heavy approach does limit him, not only in targets or yards, but his touchdown upside. That was one of the worries I had with him and Pitts heading into the season. But the Falcons are even more run-heavy than I anticipated. So against the Chargers this week, where there's certainly a run funnel defense, they're getting Patterson potentially back this week. That could eat into London's target share. I just view London as low end wide receiver 3 right now until something drastically changes with this Falcons offense, or they pivot to Desmond Ridder at some point. But right now, I'm low on Drake London.
I mean, yeah, I can imagine Ridder, like, them increasing their pass volume that much for the rookie. Dave.
Well, it can't get worse than it is
Yeah,
right now. I
true.
mean, this is ridiculous. Although last week, the Panthers let Mariota go off a little bit, but London still didn't have a big game, so that was concerning as well. But yeah, either way, he went from being like an intriguing wide receiver 2 now to like a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 kind of guy.
Yeah, it's just so hard to predict that pass volume on a week-to-week basis. For me, it's Darnell Mooney. He's the wide receiver 29 in consensus. That's pretty high for even a number 1 receiver, even with Justin Fields. Because, like, first of all, Miami's not terrible against top wide receivers. They're 12th in DVOA against number 1 receivers, but Darnell Mooney is still the wide receiver 55 on the year. And even with Fields, kind of seeing an uptick in production over these past few weeks, Darnell Mooney still hasn't topped 11.4 half PPR points in any game. So this is still a guy his ceiling has been capped by this low volume offense. And really, he's going to need a touchdown almost certainly to justify a top 30 ranking. And, that's hard to project in Chicago. And, Chase Claypool, like you mentioned, he could be a guy, especially in this, his first game, he could be more of like a red zone down specific guy. So that could still eat into Mooney's ceiling and lower his floor at the same time. So, he's been running routes against guys like Equanimeous St. Brown and Dante Pettis and Cole Kmet, who don't really, get open or consistently demand the ball. And like Claypool is a step up. So I don't see how you justify Mooney as a top 30 guy just yet. He's got to do a lot more before he jumps in there for me. And another guy, I hate to say it, but my Gabe Davis, I'm down on him this week. I mean, relatively speaking, I have him at wide receiver 3. He's wide receiver 14 in consensus. I just think this Jets defense is very good, and people don't, they just see the Jets and they think, oh, it's a bad defense. Everyone's going to go off. But the Jets are, one of the better pass defenses in the league. They get pressure, and they're 8th in DVOA against deep passes, which of course is Davis's specialty. They're also 9th in against number 2 receivers. So, even if you gets Sauce Gardner shadow, you still have DJ Reed Jr. on the other side, and he's a very good corner as well. So the Jets overall are allowing the 7th fewest fantasy points per game to wide receivers. So it is Josh Allen. They're going to get theirs, but it doesn't project as necessarily a spike week for Gabe Davis.
Yeah, how dare you? I might have to kick you out of the Gabe Davis fan club now. I saw that too. I was like -5 against ECR. I was like,
Yeah.
I can't go there. But he's still in play. That's the thing with
Yeah.
him is like you still have to play him. That's his skill set is, he's a deep threat. His A dot's what, like 16.5 or something this year.
Yep.
He's going to have a wide range of outcomes. So yeah, he could have a lower floor than most guys in this range, but he also has top 5 upside any given week. So that's why I couldn't go there. But I'm certainly there with you. I think wide receiver 14 is a bit too high. I'm wide receiver 19, and I hate to say that, but yeah, we're both low on him this week. But again, play him, keep him in your lineup. Don't bench him.
Yeah.
Especially on a week we have 6 teams on a bye, so that made it easier. But compared to ECR, at least we're a little bit lower on him this week.
All right, where you going with the prop?
So let's go DeAndre Hopkins receiving yards. I don't know how high to set this because, his first 2 games back, he's 10 catches for 103 yards. And then last week, 12 catches for 159. He's lining up more in the slot this year, 25% of the time compared to just 15% last year. So it's good to see Cliff moving him around the formation. That's probably helping a bit. I'm going to set the line at 81.5. Let's go from there.
Ooh, that's a good one. I will go. I'll go over. I have him at 86, so that line is pretty much on. Like with my median is be around 81.5. But just the way they're force feeding the ball, he's lining up all over the field, which means he won't necessarily run into like Tariq Woolen a ton or Brian. He'll kind of get to kind of pick and choose the matchup that they want for him. Seattle's defense has been really good, though, I should say.
Lately.
Yeah, they do this. They've done this the past few years. They start out really poorly, and then they kind of get it together around mid-season. So that is happening again. But even so, just as you mentioned, the way he's been targeted, and he's never used to move around in Arizona. He always used to be on one side of the field, and now that they're moving him around, I think that's what that's kind of the difference here. So yeah, I'll go over.